Okay, we are going to do watercolor studies in the manner of Georgia Okeeffe. Because I have made you draw so much over the last 3 weeks, this is how you're approaching your sketches for this week. You get to copy them onto just regular printer paper. And what we're going to do is you can make as many copies as you want of the ones that we have marked, so you have more than one shot. This one was copied the same size as a sketchbook. If you have a little one in your sketchbook, I want you to try and enlarge it on your copier. And there's 2 ways to do that. If you have an iPhone, you could take a picture of this, crop it, and print it out on 8.5 by 11-inch paper. Okay, like that's the easiest way to do it. If you don't have that, you can go to Kinko's and you can copy it, or you can play with your copier to try and get it this size. Does everybody understand that? Okay, and then what we're going to do is we are actually going to play with color. Now, we are not going to have the flowers exactly in front of us, and we have options. And this paper is bad paper, but it won't be when we go back to do our other stuff. We're just experimenting with the color. So if there's something that we really don't like on here, it doesn't matter because we're not going to keep it. So one of the things that Georgia Okeeffe did in her watercolors that was so great was she let the watercolor be watercolor. So I'm doing the background first because when we do the background first, it sets up an edge that protects. It's called meniscus. It's the property where the molecules of the water stick together and they won't go past the line where they are. So I can bleed this color right up to there and it won't go into the flower. Do you see how that's working? If you remember Georgia Okeeffe's watercolors from the film, she was very free form with this, okay? We want to have colors that will help our edges or the flower to pop out, okay? So you don't necessarily have to paint edge to edge.
And you don't really want to get too close, right? Because sometimes if you get too close and you're right on the border, then the ink can make it go over, right?
It's true, but these are just sketches, so we're not going to worry about that. So part of it can be lighter, part of it can be darker. I'm going to put a PowerPoint on the website of flowers made by Georgia Okeeffe. Now they'll be oil painting, but it just gives you a sense of her colors. This I would take a break from. So you're going to do more than one copy because you have to let that dry before you go into the flower. So Max was right, that would bleed. Let's say inside this flower, what were some of her favorite colored flowers in the film?
White.
Yes, so we have a white flower here, so I've used a dark background to show that. What was a dark one that she used?
Purple.
Yes, she loved purple, so we're going in here with the purple. And I'm actually going to do red first because you can layer stuff. And so this week you're just playing. So each day I want you to do 2 watercolors from your sketches, okay? You can do the same flower different ways. I'm going to put this in here. Don't make the watercolor the same lightness and darkness everywhere. You can view that kind of on the PowerPoint. And this I'm going to make just purple. So you can mix colors to make things come together. So the purple that is in your watercolor set is kind of a red purple, but I can add blue to that or put red under it to make it look different. So I can add blue to make this a more blue purple, kind of like a petunia, okay? So in this particular one, I just went into the flower so you could see it, but I would still like you to do your background first. So for homework, what you're doing is you're going to experiment with how the colors come together. You're going to let them bleed. That's totally fine. You're going to choose your colors, and we're going to play with background color, and then we're going to talk about what's working and what you want to be different in the next class. So what would be a good background color for this, do you think?
Maybe light blue.
Yeah, a light blue would be
I
good.
was thinking yellow.
Yellow is, okay, so yellow is a warm color, so it comes forward. Orange is a warm color, so it comes forward. And so we have green in the leaves, we have purple in the flowers. Green would have been a good choice for this. The light blue is a good choice just because it's cool and it will fall back away from this, but be different enough that it's interesting. And I can do light blue in some areas. Now, when you do yours, you'll let one part dry before you do the next part, right? Does that make sense? So, your job, and I'm going to actually add some dark blue down here to this and let it roll down. You'll spend a little bit more time than I'm spending on this, but you're trying to figure out how the color works, okay? And you want whatever background you use to make the flower come out. Does that make sense? So for homework, what you're going to do is you're going to make 8 different watercolors, okay? So you do 2 over 4 days, okay? And it could be the same flower, it can be a couple of different flowers, you could do 2 copies of the same flower, and then you're gonna bring some blank copies to class next week so we can continue in class. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.